Let's get you hooked. So what is a hook? I would define a hook as something which grabs your attention. So basically it's a little element, mostly like melodic, but it could be like rhythmic as well, or it could be like a vocal, or it could be an FX even, which interrupts the pattern and immediately draws your attention to it and is kind of like memorable. So it's something which really sticks to your brain. So where would you actually place a hook? So hooks are really often placed before transitions, especially if you then don't have a melody following and you have like a melodic hook and then you just delay it over into the next section and have some effects. We'll have a look at that in a second when we make a hook. This one we could actually even discuss if it's a real hook because it's coming from like a melody and it's a melody variation here in the end. But I would definitely say it grabs your attention and is kind of like memorable. So I would still define this as a hook. But it's maybe missing a little bit the memorable component, I would say. So it's kind of like in between, we could say. What I want to focus actually more here in that section are those three little guys. That is kind of like a hook, I would define, which counters the original melody. So we have like a main melody playing in here, and this thing plays then and responds to that melody, but it also responds to itself here. So check that out. The main memorable thing is for me this one here. So that is kind of like another application how you could use a hook. It's a little bit less strong from the, let's say, memorable concept, but that's how you could do it and see those three kind of like also interact in between. So one calls and the other one responds in here. I want to quickly make a hook with you guys so that you can see how it's done. So let's make some MIDI here for drop. So we have at the moment this. And we could technically build like a little hook thing in here. As we are continuing with offbeat, I would go for 8 notes here, but if you have, for example, like a rolling section, you could go with 16th notes as well. Let's do this. I just want to use the last one here. A hook could be like 2 notes, it could be 3 notes, it could be 5 notes. So the shorter you get it, the better usually. But that is a bit simple here, so maybe we let it jump here a bit. And then we could delay that a little bit more crazy maybe. So that's simple, you would create a hook, and let me give you some tips on doing this. So tip number 1 is pick the right timbre. So you want to create something that sticks out from the rest. You want to make this element special. And in order to do that, it shouldn't kind of like melt completely together with everything else so that it goes into the background and it's noticeable anymore. So check this out. For example, we have this lead here. And then we have this here. The sounds couldn't be more different. The one is kind of like gliding into each other, and the other one is like super like plucky, kind of like very defined sound. And that makes this combination work so much, in my opinion. So let's imagine for a moment that we put this on another sound. For example, let's put this on this sound here. You see, it kind of like disappears. We could even make it louder and it would still suck. So that doesn't work. You need to pick something which really grabs your attention with the timbre. Also, if you have it not like this in a context, but if you have it here in the beginning of the drop, it still needs to kind of like contrast the material behind it, even if it's just like the kick and bass. Then maybe pick something high, for example. So usually plucks are really nice for most hooks, but you need to experiment a bit. It could be like an acid sound. It could be anything actually. And tip number 2 is keep it minimalistic. So you don't want to go too crazy here. It needs to be easy to remember, and that is actually what makes it hard to make a good hook, is that you want to keep it as simple as possible without being boring. And that can be very hard because you only have a few notes which you can pick. So usually a good idea is, in my opinion, to end on the tonic of your track, because if you delay this over, then it's not so nice if you put something like completely like inharmonic. So that is usually a note I'll land on. I say usually because you can also have like other notes which are also stable. So the stable notes in your scale are usually the one which are the main chord. So let's say we have here the G, then our chord would be here, this one, and the B and the D. So that could be also an option here. You can get a little twist in it usually by making like a jump, but I wouldn't do it too crazy. Like for example, like this would be probably too much. Actually, it has some mystery vibes, but I think this more simple version is more pleasant somehow. And if we want to spoil this one a little bit more, we could, for example, experiment with that one here. Or maybe with that one here, so that we increase the gap. Isn't too bad actually. And if you want to let this communicate, tip number 3 is repetition and surprise. So I quickly changed this a little bit to this one. The reason for that is it makes it a little bit easier to do this like question answer thing, because now we're going like up, down, and then we could answer with it down, up. So check this out. So this is kind of like, let's say more pleasant one. And this one is a little bit more open one. And then we can close it with another one, which goes as well down, up, but in a little bit different way. So we have now. So that could be like the sequence, a very quick one. And in that case, in the middle one, we have a different note here in the end, which makes it a little bit more unresolved, I would say. So that keeps it open. We could also try like repositioning them if it makes more sense, for example, to start like more mysterious here and then do something here and here. But actually I think it would work like this. Keep in mind, like, you want to make this a special element, so that it really sticks out from the rest in a nice way. So you don't want to have it like sticking out because it's too loud or something, or it's too broken. You want to have this as like a spice in your track, which kind of like grabs the attention quickly and makes your mind following it. Then from the placement, I think it's really nice if you put it like in the ending between two blocks as a transition, or like in the middle of the block, or if you have it as a company counter element to a melody. And then the three most important things are: pick a really nice timbre so that it really supports that specialty. Keep it minimalistic, so you don't need many notes, you don't need to have complex pattern and motives there. And the third thing is play with question and answering it, so with like repetition and surprise, with tension and release, so that you not only have always the same thing playing here. You could basically have the response also not only in one section here, you could also like sprinkle them over your track and have this as a main leading element which comes and goes in your track in response to itself and other elements in there. So that can be really, really nice and give your track some kind of like speciality in there. Let me know in the comments if you have any cool tricks about hooks, or if you have noticed something, what would make a good hook in your opinion. And let me know also in the comment what topics you're interested in, because I'm always making videos on user requests as well. And the last tip is download the free roadmap, guys. There is a free roadmap in the description box below. That roadmap will help you to get faster to your first release. It will show you why you can do it, how we do it with our students, and what's the secret sauce which will really push you forward in your music production. So download that now and we'll see us in the roadmap.